Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the stream once again. Appreciate you tuning in already. I know we're probably going to have more people than usual in today just because, I went live a little bit later today, went live at 5 Eastern. I know there's more people that are probably home right now that are off work. Normally I go live, in the afternoon. Not as many people are able to tune in then because, I'm live while a lot of people are at work. But with the late lock today, I figured I'd go live a little bit later than normal, so appreciate you tuning in. Tyler, D-Money, David, Avinash, Nick, Nathan, appreciate you guys. Dylan, is it okay to play Muscala and Roby in the same lineup? On a two-game slate like this, I think it is. I mean, normally I wouldn't play two guys like that because normally, those are two guys that are they're going to eat into each other's minutes. Like, if Roby plays 28 minutes, Muscala's going to play the other 20. You're going to need both guys to, have really good games in their playing time. But on a slate like this where you're just trying to find a way to get different, I could see doing it for sure. How do you compare the Yahoo to DK prices? My guess is a $20 Yahoo player is equal to a 6K DK value, but get lost after that. Yeah, it's tough, Coley. I mean, I don't know if there's really a formula. I would say, the average salary on Yahoo is $25. The average salary on DK is $62.50. So you kind of do the math. I guess a $25 player is kind of similar to a $6,200 player. But, it's tough to say. I don't really look too much into that. But, yeah, I guess that's how I would look at it. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Dylan? What's up, Kemper? Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Is Ball a top pick if he plays? I mean, he's not, a top option, but I think Lonzo is going to be very low owned given that, he hasn't played in a while. He's been questionable. Really, he hasn't even been that good this year. When Lonzo's been healthy, we haven't really seen a ton of big games from him. He's someone I do like in tournaments just because I'm looking for a way to get different on this slate, and I think Lonzo is going to be pretty low owned. So I actually do like him today, and he's expected to play. So he's someone I will for sure have exposure to. Greetings from Husker Nation. Just recently found your videos. You do a great job. Keep up the good work. Do you have any rules on short slates about playing too many guys from one team? I mean, nah, David, I wouldn't normally worry about that on a slate like this. The dummy lineup I built out earlier, I think I had 4 guys from the Nuggets, maybe 5. I don't really, look too much into that on a short slate like this. When it's 2 games, I mean, they're basically all the rules you would normally put in. I think those just go out the window on 2-game slates. You can just play. I don't want to say play whoever you want, but, guys you would never normally play, you can play on 2-game slates. We talked about it in my video, JJ Redick, Kendrick Williams, these guys that could get hot off the bench. Those are guys you can definitely play on 2-game slates. We making money tonight, boy? Let's hope so, Jordan. Let's hope so. A lot of lineups will be identical. Oh, yeah, for sure, Adam. On 2-game slates, you're going to see a lot of identical lineups. You're going to see guys be very popular. If you're trying to take down a big tournament and you're trying to find a way to differentiate, we'll talk about some guys that will be low owned that have upside that could separate you from the field for sure. Lonzo or Eric Bledsoe, assuming Lonzo plays, I prefer him over Eric Bledsoe now. I liked Bledsoe a lot when Lonzo was out, but now that Lonzo's back, I'm kind of off Eric Bledsoe personally. Phil Groves playing Dort but need $5,200 guard. Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys you click into your lineup tonight, they're not guys you probably normally would roster, but Gary Harris, PJ Dozier, these guys I would never normally play on a full main slate. I'm going to have exposure to tonight just because of the lack of options. Kuz wasn't too far off last night, Noah. Yeah, I checked I went to bed at halftime and I saw I think he had 4 points and 5 rebounds at halftime. And I was like, yeah, he's not getting there. And then I woke up and he had a freaking double-double, but he still didn't get there. He still finished with 29 DK points. But if you missed the stream yesterday, we had a bet that Kuzma would not score. If he scored 35 DK points or more, I had to do a giveaway on today's stream, but he didn't get there, sadly. But I was kind of, going at a guy yesterday because I told him that Kuzma was a terrible play at 5,500. Whenever LeBron and AD are healthy, you shouldn't be playing Kuzma at that price. And, I mean, he had a solid game, but he still wasn't good for his price tag. Do we fade Jokic? I don't think so, Kemper. I'm going to have a good amount of exposure to Jokic. Miami Mike with a $20 super chat. I appreciate that, Miami Mike. You didn't leave a message or anything, but thank you for the $20 super chat. I greatly appreciate that, my man. What's poppin', Shia? Thank you for tuning in. Think Kendrick Williams will get 20 minutes tonight. I mean, it's possible. Last 2 games, I think he played 15 minutes the game before that, and then he played 27 minutes in their last game. I don't know if that happens again, but he has shown some upside when he does get minutes. He got 27 last game, 27 DK points. He's been productive when he gets minutes. I said it in my video that I think Al Horford being out at least benefits Williams a little bit, because maybe the Thunder can play some small ball lineups where they use, maybe Bazley at the 5 and then they play Kendrick Williams at power forward. Like, I think his path to playing 20-plus minutes is a lot easier. He's a lot more likely to play 20-plus minutes now that Horford is out. I think at 3,600, he's someone you can definitely take a shot on in tournaments just to, find a way to get different. If he pops off for like 26, 27 DK points, normally that's not a score that you would really have to have, but on a 2-game slate, he could be the guy that kind of puts you over the top if he does get, 26, 27 like he did last game. So I actually do like Kendrick Williams a good amount, as a low-owned value. Do you think these games will be a blowout? I mean, it's tough to tell. If any game would be a blowout, it would be the Denver one, but I'm not really going to worry about that. I'm going to play both games just assuming they are competitive. I'm not going to try and predict blowout. There are so limited players. Even if he gets 40, you're going to need him just for the pure points. Are you talking about Jokic? Yeah, I mean, we talked about that in the Discord chat. Like, even if Jokic has a bad game and puts up maybe 50, 55 DK points, like, he still might be in the winning lineup because there's no other centers that could really come close to that number. Like, obviously Zion has upside, Rudy Gobert has upside, but are those guys going to even come close to Jokic tonight? Probably not. I think Jokic is someone you're going to want to have a good amount of exposure to. I'm going to have him in a good amount of my lineups for sure. Josh, I think Diallo has more upside, but Green is more consistent. Answering that question. Lonzo over Conley. So Lonzo over Conley, probably not. I would probably go Conley there, but I do like Lonzo just because he's someone you can roster tonight as a way to get different, because nobody's going to be on Lonzo. He's going to be probably one of the lower owned guys like in that price range. I mean, he's been low owned basically every slate, like every main slate this year. I don't see a ton of people playing him even on this 2-gamer. Kuzma came close. I know you were worried. Yeah, I checked the box score when I woke up and I saw he had a double-double, but I did the math in my head and he still didn't get to like 35 DK points. I think he finished with like 29. But he did have a good game, and he still, he had a good game, and he still wasn't a good play at his price tag. Like, Draftkings has just put him in a price where he's basically unplayable when LeBron and AD are healthy, at least in my opinion. Do I have Instagram? I do not have Instagram, Shay. I just have a Twitter, at DFS by Noah, if you want to follow me on Twitter. Who's your favorite value on DK? I mean, value's kind of tough right now. I would say the best value the one I'm most confident in is probably Isaiah Roby, if you consider him a value at 4,100. He's going to start with Horford out. He's going to play probably 26, 28 minutes. He played 26 minutes last game, but he fouled out. So, obviously, foul trouble is a concern here against Jokic, but, if he's not in foul trouble, I think we're getting close to 30 minutes from Isaiah Roby, and at 4,100, he looks like a pretty good value. So, I would say he's my favorite value right now. Let's win some money tonight, baby. I appreciate the $2 super chat, Max. Let's win some money, my man. Top 3 cash locks. I mean, in cash, you're probably starting with Jokic. You're probably starting with Isaiah Roby. And then I would say you probably want like SGA or Jamal Murray, one of those 2 guys in cash games. But definitely Jokic and Isaiah Roby, I think you want to build around in cash for sure. Especially on Draftkings where you can play Isaiah Roby at power forward. Do you ever have a slate that you feel you can just play one lineup? Like if you have a lineup you feel great about? I mean, it all depends on, for me, it's not about, slate preference. It's about, if I'm not going to be at my computer after lock and I know I'm not going to be able to manage a ton of lineups, like if some late news comes out after lock and I know, I'm not going to be able to fix a bunch of my lineups, like for that day, I'll just play one lineup, T-Bone. But normally I play like 10 to 20, and I'll have 10 to 20 out there tonight. Really only the slates where I play one lineup are the slates where I'm not going to be able to check for news after lock. So if something does break, I just have one lineup that I need to fix rather than having to fix 10, 20 lineups. My team is Mitchell, Murray, Bogdanovich, Millsap, Williams, Gobert, Harris. That looks pretty good. Oh, SGA, I got you. SGA, Mitchell, Murray. Yeah, that looks pretty good, Shay. I think that's pretty good, for now. PJ Dozier or JJ Redick. I think I prefer the upside on PJ Dozier. Obviously, JJ Redick has upside as well. We know if he gets hot off the bench, he can put up, a big game. But I like how Dozier is able to stuff the stat sheet. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. He can give you defensive stats as well. He's been productive when he gets minutes, and the minutes have kind of been trending up for PJ Dozier. He's another one of those guys, for cheap that you can definitely take a shot on in tournaments. Obviously, the likelihood of him succeeding, I would say, is not insanely high, but I still do like PJ Dozier at 3,900 as a value. Where do I find the Patreon sign-up info? The Patreon link is down in the description, T-Bone, if you want to sign up. Great work, man. Appreciate you. You got it, J-Ro. I appreciate you tuning in, my man. Why should we listen to you? I mean, John Peter, I'll be honest, you don't have to listen to me. If you don't want to listen to me, then close out the video, my man. I'm just here to answer questions, and if you don't want to be here, then click out the video. I'm considering George Hill tonight on DK. I mean, yeah, George Hill's definitely in play. It's a 2-game slate. Like, I'm really not going to, unless you're trying to play someone that's going to play like 10 minutes. I mean, you can't go wrong with basically anyone on a 2-game slate. Obviously, George Hill's not someone that I would normally play, but tonight, he's in my player pool for sure. Like, if you're playing 150 lineups, which I'm not, but if you are, I mean, you probably have basically everyone in your player pool or close to it, the guys that are actually going to play like meaningful minutes. Took down the $50 on DK and third in the $100 single entry. Had to dodge a bunch of Wiseman. Ooh, if you got lucky, Miami might. That Wiseman got in foul trouble, I know, and that's that would obviously killed him. But good win, my man. Good win. Baisley or Bogdan, between those, give me Baisley. Roby is a former Husker. Everyone here is used to him getting in foul trouble. Yeah, foul trouble has been an issue so far, but I mean that's not something we can really predict. But I would say the likelihood of him getting in foul trouble tonight is pretty high, but obviously it's not something that we can predict really. Even when you think a guy's going to get in foul trouble, he might not. So I'm just going to play Roby and hope he doesn't. Steven Adams is going to have to play minutes against Gobert, you think? I mean, yeah, he's going to have to play minutes. I don't know if that really means that he's like a top option. Steven Adams normally never a guy I love rostering just because his upside at this point is not that high. I mean, he's consistent, but he rarely, puts up 40-plus DK points and, kind of is a guy that you really have to have. I think there's other centers I'd rather go to. I'd rather get up to Gobert if I can. I'd rather save $2,000 and play Roby. I'm not going to have a ton of exposure to Steven Adams, but that's just me personally. My camera is blurry. Hold up, let me see if I can fix it. I don't know why it does this crap, bro. Come on, autofocus, you bitch. Bro, I hate this camera. It's always out of focus, man. Like when I watch my videos, I play by my videos, the camera's always out of focus. Fuck. I don't think I can fix it. Oh well. Hopefully it'll just autofocus at some point. Do you play all your salary or do you have money left over sometimes? Usually on main slates, I don't leave too much on the table, but on a 2-gamer like this, leaving salary is a way to make your lineup more contrarian. So I'm fine leaving $600, $700 on the table, if it makes your lineup, less likely to be duped. No, appreciate the info as always. Thoughts on Jamal Murray? Yeah, Jamal Murray is a really good option tonight. I mean, he's been playing much better lately. He's been way more consistent. The minutes have been up as well. Like he's played I think 35 and 38 minutes their last 2 games, or 37, 42 minutes last 2 games, 40, 46 DK points. Jamal Murray is someone that always has upside, always a guy that you can go out there and just break a slate and can put up 45, 50 DK points at any night. Against OKC, I'm not worried about that matchup at all. So, yeah, Jamal Murray is a really good play. I never look to play him with Jokic, but on a slate like this, I think playing him and Jokic together, definitely viable. I'm going to have lineups with both those guys together. And normally that's not something I would do, but on 2 gamers with limited options, for sure you can do that. Any quick tips for snake drafts, or do you try? I've never played snake drafts, Phoenix. I don't know. Getting Elgato light, they do wonders. Yeah, I had an Elgato. I used to make gaming videos a long time ago. Right now, I just use OBS to record my screen and everything. The camera's fixed, though, which is good. I was considering Morris. Do you think Hill's minutes are more secure, though? I mean, George Hill, I would say his minutes are never secure. Like, There'll be some games where he plays like 28, 30. There'll be some games where he plays like 22, 24. At 4,300, I think he's definitely in play on a short slate like this. And, George Hill, at this point, what is his upside? I mean, we've seen games where he plays 30 minutes and puts up 15 fantasy points, but at 4,300, just as a cheap option, I think he's for sure viable. I mean, you look at the cheap guards that we have, there's not a ton of cheap guards that, really stand out. I mean, Gary Harris I do like, but obviously Gary Harris, his floor is pretty low as well. Monte Morris, I never really liked playing Monte Morris whenever, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray are all healthy, but he's someone you could look to. Hill, though, I would say Hill and Harris are probably like my two favorite guard values, like 5K and below. PJ Dozier as well, you could play at 3,900. Do I like Mitchell or SGA more? Between those two, I would prefer SGA. I'm a big SGA fan. Like, anytime he's on a slate, I usually always have exposure just because his upside with this Thunder offense is just so high. Obviously, he's burned people this year. He's burned me at times, but the upside is still there every night. Jordan Clarkson or Lonzo. I think if Joe Ingles plays, I'd probably rather go with Lonzo, but it doesn't seem like Joe Ingles is going to play tonight. He's questionable. He's like the only guy on the slate that's questionable right now. So Joe Ingles' status is kind of important. It does affect Clarkson. If he plays, I'd probably go with Lonzo. But if he's out, I'd probably go with Clarkson. Luckily, both these games start at 9 o'clock, so we'll have all the news that we need before lock. Should I prioritize Zion or Mitchell at that price point? Between those two, I think I'd prefer Zion. Zach, give me Zion over Mitchell. Ball, Bledsoe, or Conley. Between those three, Andrew, I'd go with Mike Conley. I'd probably rank them Conley number 1, Ball 2, and then Bledsoe 3. Are Bledsoe and NAW weaker plays now with Lonzo probable? Yes. Lonzo coming back affects both those guys. Bledsoe, not as much, but NAW, his value is going to take a real hit now that Lonzo's back too. I don't even know if he plays like more than 20 minutes. So, yeah, Alexander Walker, he's going to be probably a full fade for me. I don't expect to have any exposure to him. This John Peter dude, Jesus Christ, man. Bunch of trolls. God. I go live at 5 so more people can tune in. We got a bunch of trolls in here. You hate to see it, man. You hate to see it. If Lonzo is healthy, 100% in lineups, I wouldn't say he's going to be in 100% of my lineups, but if he's healthy and if he's playing and he's starting, I'm definitely going to have exposure to Lonzo, and I will probably be overweight in his ownership in tournaments. I assume Lonzo's like 15% owned tonight, maybe less than that, which is really low for a 2-game slate. Royce always puzzles me. Thoughts? Yeah, Royce O'Neal is someone that always tough to predict. Like, you never know what you're going to get from Royce O'Neal. He could play 40 minutes and score 10 fantasy points. He could put up near a triple-double. Like, he had a game earlier this year where he almost triple-doubled against Milwaukee. He had 18, 8, and 6. Like, normally I consider his floor is just so low that it's tough to play him on most slates. On a 2-gamer, he's viable, but he's still someone I don't want to have a ton of exposure to tonight. Like, if he's going to be like 30, 40% owned, just given the lack of options, I'll find other guys to roster than Royce O'Neal. Like, let's see in the price range that he's in. Like, I'd rather roster Bogdanovich. I'd probably rather roster Lou Dort. If I can get up to Baisley, I'd rather play Baisley. Like, I don't know. I'm just not a Royce O'Neal guy. Like, I just rarely roster him. Hill and O'Neal or Dozier and Bogdanovich. Between those two, Nick, I think I'd go with Dozier and Bogdanovich. Love Zoe for GPPs, yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not saying Lonzo's going to go out and smash tonight, but he feels like one of those guys that nobody's playing. And on a 2-game slate, I'm just looking for guys that have upside that nobody's playing, and Lonzo, he's that guy, in my opinion. Favors or Hayes for cheap bench center. I mean, I'm not very confident either one of those guys, but I guess if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with Derek Favors. Lonzo or Adams. Between those two, Jeremy, I'd prefer Lonzo over Steven Adams. Thoughts on J.J. Redick? Yeah, J.J. Redick on this slate I think is definitely viable, and he is normally not someone I really play, but he can get hot off the bench. He can knock down 5-6 threes. Like, I would not be surprised to see J.J. Redick in the winning GPP lineup. The likelihood of him succeeding at 4K are pretty low, but you're just looking for, a way to differentiate, find a guy that's low owned that has upside, and, J.J. Redick's viable. I think I'd rather play like P.J. Dozier, though. Probably rather play George Hill, Isaiah Roby, some other cheaper guys, but Redick's for sure in play, especially if you are playing like a lot of lineups. Would you rather play Gary Harris or JaMychal Green? Sammy, I'd prefer Gary Harris between those two. What are you doing here? When are you getting to be president for tomorrow? Thoughts on Donovan Mitchell? I mean, yeah, Mitchell's definitely in play. He's not someone that I'm in love with on this slate because his price tag is really high on DK. Like, he's 8,200. I think I'd rather save salary and play Zion. I'd probably rather get up to SGA if I can. Obviously, Mitchell's viable because there's like not a ton of options, but I think there's other guys priced around him that I would rather play. Do you talk about FanDuel as well? No, Haywood. I just play DK and Yahoo. I don't play on FanDuel. Why are you high on Gary Harris? Him and Millsap are the most frustrating plays. I mean, yeah, they definitely are. Like, am I confident that Gary Harris is going to have a good game? No, but he's going to play a good amount of minutes. Most nights he's getting over 30 minutes. If he's playing well, you'll see him play like 35, 36 minutes. His path to playing, his path to a ton of playing time is definitely there. Like, if there's any cheap guard like that could play like 36, 38 minutes, it's definitely Gary Harris, in my opinion. Not saying it's going to happen, but out of anyone, down there that, that could play that amount of minutes, I think it would be Gary Harris. He can knock down threes. He can, grab rebounds. He can get defensive stats. I like him at 4,400, and normally I'm not a Gary Harris guy, but I think he's definitely a cheaper option I'll be looking to on this slate for sure. Like, between him, George Hill, Redick, Dozier, I think I'd prefer Gary Harris over those guys, but, all four of those I think are viable for sure. Why is Kendrick Williams projecting so low tonight after two great performances? I mean, those two performances are not something that we can expect to happen every game. So even if he had a really good game off the bench, it's not like we can expect that to happen again. So that's probably why he's projecting low, because normally he's not going to project high. Obviously, guys can randomly pop off, though, at time, and that's kind of what he's been doing recently. Why aren't you going for Ingram tonight? I mean, I like Ingram. It's just his price point, again, like him and Donovan Mitchell both feel a bit overpriced for me. Like, I think I'd rather get up to Jokic over Ingram. I'd rather probably play SGA over Ingram. I think Ingram's viable just because small forward's kind of a bad position. So if you can pay up at small forward, it makes sense to get up to Ingram if you can. But factoring in the no positions, just looking at the pricing as a whole, like Jokic, SGA, Zion, Jamal Murray, I think those are like my favorite pay up options on the slate. Not looking at positions, just 7K and above. I'm a Yahoo OG and play their only. Thanks for covering. Thanks for covering it, as you are the only one that I can find. Yeah, sure thing, T-Bone. I've been playing on Yahoo since the beginning, so I'd love to put more content put more content out on Yahoo. It's just it's not as popular of a site, so content on Yahoo doesn't do nearly as well as DK. Diallo or Gary Harris? Between those two, I'd prefer Gary Harris. Gator. I live in Missouri where we can't play Yahoo. That really sucks. It looks fun. Yeah, I mean, I know Yahoo's not available everywhere, but luckily it's available in my state. Jamal Murray or SGA? That's a close one. I think probably given the savings, Jamal Murray probably looks better for $1,400 less. But if you're just factoring in, no salary, just who scores more points, I think, SGA probably scores more points. But factoring in salary, Jamal Murray probably makes more sense, given the savings. Hop on someone, yeah, like, what's up with all these trolls, man? God damn. Bunch of fucking just kids, bro. Jesus Christ. If you have to play, or if you're playing DFS, you have to be above 18, so that's pretty damn bad. We got people above the age of 18 coming in here and trolling. You hate to see it. What's up, Noah? Love the live stream and all your content, bro. Plays first for the first time on NBA Slate, and it's all because of you. You got it, man. I appreciate you tuning in, Cornelius, and I'm glad you've had success, my man. I know you're in the Patreon and in the Discord, so appreciate all your support, my man. Opinion on George Hill and Diallo. Diallo, I'm not really on. I think his price is a little bit too high for me, but George Hill's definitely viable. 4,300, probably going to play 26, 28 minutes. He's never someone you confident rostering, but he could definitely, spike a ceiling game in 26, 28 minutes, and he's cheap, and we need some cheap options so that way we can fit in, the top guys like Jokic, SGA, Zion, those guys. If a guy's doing well 2 games in a row, can't we hope the coach will give him extra minutes if someone struggles from starting lineup? I mean, yeah, that's always possible, but not saying it's ever going to happen, you know? Like, a guy could be playing really well off the bench, but that doesn't mean, you know, he's a lock to get more minutes. You know, we can't get inside these coaches' heads. We don't know what they're going to do. I mean, we can do our best to try and predict, but at the end of the day, you know, we're just guessing. Brandon Ingram or Donovan Mitchell? Between those two, Sean, I'd prefer Brandon Ingram. SGA, Zion, and Jokic. Yeah, I mean, like, those are probably my 3 favorite, like, spend-ups right now. SGA, Zion, Jokic. Jamal Murray you can put in that category as well. Is Josh Hart in play? I'm kind of off Josh Hart now that Lonzo's back. Like, he's going to go back to the bench. He's probably going to play 26 to 28 minutes. He's still kind of expensive, too. Like, it's not like Josh Hart's, like, 4K. I mean, what is he, 4,900? Yeah, he's 4,900, so even if he plays, like, close to 30 minutes, I mean, that doesn't mean Josh Hart's going to, like, even hit value at 4,900. We've seen games where he plays, like, against the Clippers, he played 38 minutes and had 18 fantasy points. Like, on a point-per-minute basis, when this team's fully healthy, like, Josh Hart just doesn't contribute much on a point-per-minute basis. So, not really a guy that I'm a big fan of at 4,900. Focus on the... Yeah, I mean, I try and focus on the positivity, but obviously when I have the chat up on the screen and I'm looking at all the questions, I mean, I'm going to see the stupid questions. I just try and ignore them, though. Yeah, you're right. JJ Redick or PJ Dozier? Between those two, I prefer PJ Dozier. I think I already answered that question earlier, but I prefer PJ Dozier. Thoughts on Millsap? Yeah, Millsap, another one of those guys that I never really feel good rostering, but on a short slate like this, I mean, he's definitely viable. His minutes have been way low this year, though. Like, he's not even getting close to, like, 30 minutes. Like, we've seen some games Millsap would, you know, sometimes play 28, 30 minutes if he was playing well. Like, the last 4 games, I mean, he's just been around 20 to 22 minutes. I have no idea if he plays 20, 22 minutes again, if they maybe give him 30 minutes. He's probably one of my least favorite guys, like, below 5K. Like, I think I'd rather roster Gary Harris, PJ Dozier, all these other guys we've talked about, George Hill, over Paul Millsap. You playing Roby and Muscala together? We touched on that earlier, Ricky. It's not something I would normally do, but on a 2-game slate, you know, I don't think many people are going to do that. Obviously, the chances of that working are probably slim, but you could randomly see you know, Roby put up 30 DK points in 28 minutes, and then Muscala plays 20 minutes and puts up 25 DK points, and both guys are really good value, so I wouldn't mind it on a slate like this. It's just a way to get different, but normally I would not play those guys together. Normally I wouldn't. Look at SGA's numbers. Do you think SGA struggles against good teams? Take a look and give me your perspective. Thanks, bud. To me, he only does good against bums like the Bulls. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, good teams, they're going to do what they can to slow down the opposing team's best player. Obviously, SGA is the Thunder's best player. Yeah, he had a great game against the Bulls. Obviously, he had a great game against the Nets. I mean, the Nets are a good team, but I don't know. Like, I still like SGA just because the usage he's getting, the opportunity he's getting. He's going to play a ton of minutes if it's a close game. And if OKC keeps this game close, it's probably because SGA is going off. So if I'm playing a lot of guys from the Nuggets, and I'm assuming the game stays close, might as well have exposure to SGA because he's probably going to be the reason why, you know, if it does stay close. Isn't Lonzo Ball supposed to have limited minutes? I haven't seen anything, Cornelius. Last I saw, he was probable. We don't know yet if he's, like, limited or anything. Luckily, like I said earlier, both these games start at 9 o'clock Eastern time, so we'll have all the news we need before lock. I got to run, everyone. I'll be a regular with you, Noah. I appreciate that, David. Thank you for tuning in, my man. Like I said earlier, guys, I normally go live like later or earlier in the afternoon. I normally go live like around 3:30 Eastern time, but because of the late lock tonight, I decided to go live a little bit later. Will Barton or Darius Bazley? That's a close one, Sammy. I think between those two, I'd probably lean Darius Bazley, but I have a good amount of interest in both. I'll definitely have both in my player pool for sure. All right, dude, I gotta block this fucking guy. Holy shit. How about Murray, Ball, SGA, Harris, Hart, Redick, Williamson, Bazley, Jokic? I mean, that looks like a pretty good lineup, Sean. I don't mind that. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Josh Hart, but I don't know if there's anyone there that you could replace him with. I mean, you do have, let's see, you got Hart, Reddick, Williamson. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to play Hart and Reddick together because their path to minutes kind of negatively correlate. Like if Hart's playing a lot of minutes, that probably means Reddick's not. If Reddick gets more minutes than you expect, that probably means Hart's losing minutes. Probably not guys I would want together in the same lineup. God. Oh, man. These trolls, dude. No, I've been loving the live streams, man. Glad I can join y'all and be a part of it. I appreciate that, Sammy. Thank you, my man. I'm just here to answer questions, dude. All these punk-ass kids coming here, like, trolling. My God. Just go somewhere else, please. Kendrick Williams. Yeah, we talked about Kendrick Williams earlier, Hawk Dark. I mean, I like Williams. He's obviously not a guy that you're going to feel confident in, but it's just a way to get different, lower owned guy with some upside. His path to minutes, I think, is more high. Like his path to higher minutes is more likely now with Horford out because that's just one less guy in the rotation. I don't mind taking a shot on him in tournaments just for lower ownership. Will Dozier get 20 minutes if Gary Harris shoots horrible again? I mean, it's possible. Like his path to minutes probably depends on Gary Harris and how he's playing. Like if Gary Harris has one of those games where he gets a ton of minutes and plays like 36, 38 minutes, that's obviously probably taken away from PJ Dozier. But Dozier's last 3 games, 27, 23, 28 minutes. He's been productive when he does get minutes. You never know what Mike Malone's going to do. You can never get inside of his head. You never know what this dude's going to do. But I think Dozier probably gets like mid to high 20s minutes, and at 3,900, I'll definitely have exposure to him. It's just, a lower owned guy in tournaments that has some upside, that has the path to, putting up a ceiling game if he does get the minutes. Thoughts on my lineup? I have Murray, Hill, Dozier, Roby, Jokic, SGA, Gary Harris, and Steven Adams. Gator, that looks pretty good to me. I don't mind that. If Ingles plays, who do you think will lose minutes? Clarkson? I mean, yeah, Clarkson's probably the guy that takes the biggest hit, but Clarkson's still going to get 26, 28 minutes. I think his path to like 30-plus minutes is a little bit less likely, though, if Ingles is back. But, I mean, Ingles, even when he's been healthy this year, hasn't been playing a ton, if I remember correctly. Like, he's been getting, like low to mid-20s minutes. I'd feel better about Clarkson if Ingles was out because, like, Clarkson's price is up to 6,500. I mean, for Clarkson to really be a good play at his price, he needs to give you close to 40 DK points. And sure, he has the upside to do that, but if I'm paying that price for him, I would prefer that Ingles be out. I'm waiting on Ingles and ball confirmation and deciding between Harris and Dozier. Everything else is pretty... Yeah, that's really the only... Right now, that's the only news we're waiting on is Joe Ingles, who's questionable, and then Lonzo, who is expected to play, but we just got to wait and see. Favorite values for cash other than Roby? Oh, it's tough right now. I mean, I think Gary Harris is cash viable at 4,400. Obviously, Roby is probably the best value right now. I don't know if I'd play Dozier in cash. Probably wouldn't play Reddick in cash. I mean, yeah, it'd probably be Gary Harris, him and Roby. Maybe George Hill. Yeah, probably George Hill as well because he starts. He's probably going to play like 26, 28 minutes. I think Harris, Hill, Roby, their minutes are like the easiest to predict, the most secure, I would say. So they're probably the better values right now. Can't wait till Roby tanks all my lineups. Yeah, I can already tell you, like, I'm going to play a ton of Roby, and he's going to get in foul trouble, get 2 fouls in 2 minutes, and that'll be the end of that. Thank you for everything, Noah. 2-game slates are tough, but who do you think is underpriced in the 5 to 6K range? Let's take a look. I would say probably, Darius Bazley for 5,600, I think still a little bit underpriced. Like he has the upside to blow this price out of the water. We've seen 35, 40-point games from Darius Bazley. Obviously, he's been incredibly inconsistent this year, but the upside's still there. The minutes are going to be there. He's probably like the most underpriced guy, I guess, in the 5K, 6K range. A guy basing your DFS knowledge on whether you want a GP. Yeah, it's stupid. I always say, I give my username. My username is GoatofDFS. If anyone wants to play me, they can send me head-to-heads and they can play me. But nobody ever does. That's what these trolls do. They do. That's what they trolls do. Is Jokic a must-have? I mean, yeah, he's close to it, I would say. If you're playing if I was playing one lineup tonight, I would probably have Jokic in it, but that's just me personally. I'm a big Jokic fan, so, I'd feel very scared not having him in my lineup on a 2-game slate. Just, this dude has so much freaking upside, man. He could put up 70 tonight, and you're going to be completely buried if you don't have him. And even if he has a bad game and puts up 50, like I said earlier, he could still be in the winning lineup because there's just no other studs that could even come close to what he puts up. So, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of Jokic. More minutes played, JJ or NAW? That's tough. I would say, both those guys are, coming off the bench. One of them can get hot and knock down a bunch of threes and just they get more minutes. I would say JJ Redick. I guess his path to more minutes is higher. I'm not confident in either one playing a ton of minutes, but I would just prefer JJ between the two. I'm kind of off NAW now that Lonzo's back. Redick or Favors? Between those two, Dylan, I'd prefer JJ Redick. Ingram or SGA? I'd prefer SGA there, Tasha. Between those two. That Kuzma guy yesterday was right, and you jinxed yourself saying he was going to go off. Of course, I faded that too. You said probably swap. Yeah, I wouldn't say Kuzma went off, but he did have a good game. He had 29 DK points. He was 5,500, so he didn't 6x, but he came close to 5.5x or something. He had a good game. I would say 29 DK points for Kuzma is at this point really good when LeBron and AD are both healthy. Don't listen to the hate. Keep living your life. I support you. I appreciate that, Jermaine. I try not to, man. I try not to. I normally the trolls, there's not many trolls in my comment section, but when they do come, obviously it's tough to just, completely ignore them because I'm going to see every comment. I'm looking at every comment right now, but I do try and ignore it if I can. You won me some money for sure. Money this year for sure. I'm glad to hear that, Chris. I'm glad I could help, man. What state are you from, Noah? Joseph, I'm from South Carolina. Hill, Morris, or Gary Harris. Between those two, or those three TBL, I'd probably prefer Gary Harris. It'd be between Harris or Hill. I think I'd give the edge to Harris. Kuzma got, 29.5. He wasn't, I don't even know what his ownership was. I assume he was 2% owned, if that. Do you play Super Draft at all? If so, can you give us a few players that you like? I recently started playing Super Draft, but I haven't been playing a ton. I played the other day, and that's the first time I played since I signed up. I haven't looked at the slate over there yet. I haven't looked at any of the multipliers, but I do have a Super Draft account now. What do you mean when you say 6x or 5.5x? So Zach, say a player like Jokic is 11K, you multiply that by 6, which would be 11 times 6, which would be 66. So if Jokic scores 66 DK points tonight, that means he's 6x value. Some people think, whenever they make lineups that you need to get 6x from every player, but I don't know. It's just a way to, kind of get a grasp of how many points you're looking for from your player. Usually 6x is a good amount. But it all depends on the slate. Just because you get 6x from someone doesn't mean that he was a great play. But yeah, if Jokic puts up 66 tonight, you'll be in pretty good shape. Or you'll probably need to have him if I had to guess. My team has a core of Jokic, Murray, Gobert, and Conley. Yeah, that's a pretty good core, Kenny. I don't mind any of those guys tonight. I'm an old man out ice fishing now. Love your videos, buddy. Thanks for helping me win sometimes. I'm glad to hear that, Brian. Glad I could help, man. Cash yesterday, even with TLC getting a 0, made a pivot for Wiseman to Green last minute, and it paid off. Well, if you cash with a 0, Liam, you probably had a damn good lineup outside of TLC. What's your Yahoo handle? It's GOAT of DFS. That's what it is on both DraftKings and Yahoo. Have you tried Jock Market? I have not, William. I just play DraftKings and Yahoo, and I do have a Super Draft account now, but I don't play there too often. Gotta go, Noah. Thanks for all the content. Good luck tonight. I added you on DK. Good luck, Dylan. Appreciate you tuning in, my man. You do a good job breaking down slates. I appreciate that, my man. I try the best I can, dude. Try the best I can. Do the best I can. Love all your content and your advice. I really enjoy tuning in. What do you think about Favors as a center? Yeah, Favors probably like one of my least favorite center options. Like, he's just going to be the backup to, to Rudy Gobert. Whatever minutes Gobert doesn't play, Favors will play. So if Gobert plays 36 minutes, then Favors will probably play like 12, 14 minutes. I mean, at 3,800, he's not really someone I'm looking too much on this slate. Now, if something happens with Gobert and he gets in foul trouble or something, then yeah, Favors will have a path to more minutes, but Favors not really someone I'm looking to. I mean, I'd rather take a shot on Mike Muscala at 3,400 and just hope Roby gets in foul trouble. Then you'll have Muscala get more minutes. I'm on a 6-game head-to-head winning streak because of your videos, all $25 matches on Yahoo. I'm glad to hear that, Kenny. What part of SC are you from? I'm about an hour from Greenville, Justin. I'm not going to say exactly where I live, but I'll just say like I'm an hour from Greenville. I love the swap up on the way you do games now, post to positions. Yeah, I just tried to mix it up, Chris. Just try to, do something to spice up the videos a little bit. So going team by team. I've seen some other people do that. Figured I might have tried as well. And people seem to like it, so I want to do what the people like, Is having Dozier, Harris, Williams, and Post too risky for a single entry GPP? I mean, yeah, that's probably too much. Like, I probably wouldn't want Williams and Pokusevski in the same lineup because those guys kind of, negatively correlate, take minutes away from each other. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't want all 4 of those guys in one lineup. When's your next free roll contest? I'm not sure, Coley. Once we get to a new goal on Patreon, I'll definitely do another free roll for Patreon members. I think once we get to 100, I'll probably do another free roll, and we're getting close. So if you are a Patreon member, we should have a free roll probably pretty soon. Do you watch other YouTube sites to see who they like to compare? I mean, I watch other guys, but I'm not going to obviously, I don't care what they say. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to play the guys that I like. I wouldn't say I really follow other players, but like, I watch the Osmo guys. I think they have a lot of great content. They have a lot of really good players that, post content there. I usually like to, I'll listen to it while I make my lineups, but at the end of the day, it's the guys, I'm making my lineups. I'm putting the guys in, so it's all up to me at the end of the day. I thoroughly believe Roby gets into foul trouble against Jokic, might fade and go Muscala. I mean, yeah, TBL, that is totally possible. Totally possible. Like, if this game tips off, it tips off at 9-10 and Roby has 2 fouls in 2 minutes, I would not be surprised. But he could play 30 minutes and have 35 DK points. Like, I don't know. His range of outcomes is really wide tonight. But I think the minutes will be there as long as he's not in foul trouble. If you're making a lineup assuming Denver will blow out OKC, who's the first guy to fade, oh, man. Other than Jokic and SGA, in a blowout, I would say, Jamal Murray, like, he's not going to benefit in a blowout unless Denver just has, like, 120 points and Jokic and Murray both go off in 3 quarters. All the starters are going to lose minutes in a blowout, so. But it depends on, how the blowing out did, like, what caused the blowout. Is it because Jamal Murray's knocking down 12 3-pointers? Like, I don't know. Even if games do blow out, you could still see big games from Jokic, big games from Jamal Murray. So, yeah, I wouldn't try and predict a blowout. How do you create ownership projections? I don't create any ownership projections. There's sites out there that provide them if you want to pay for them. But I just, I've been playing DFS for 4 years now, 5 years now. I can kind of understand who's going to be popular, who's not going to be popular. How old are you? I'm 21, Reggie. I'm 21. I'm fading Joker the only way to get different is fading Joker the only way to get different GPPs? I don't think so, BJ. There's so many guys that are going to be lower owned that have upside. We talked about Lonzo earlier. I think Lonzo is going to be low owned and he has upside. I could see, like, let's see, who's guys like Really, Lonzo. I mean, Lonzo's the guy that I'm going to be really overweight on. I just think he's going to be way too low owned, man. So, like, you don't have to fade Jokic. There's other ways to get different. Roster some cheap bench guys that, can spike upside, like a JJ Redick or, a PJ Dozier. Those guys aren't going to be that popular. If you make 10 lineups, have one without Jokic just in case. Yeah, I'd say if I was playing 10 lineups, I probably wouldn't be all in on Jokic, but he would be in like at least half of them. So at least 5 or 6 lineups I'd have Jokic in out of 10. I try to make a few lineups before I listen to any YouTube vids, then I make a couple more after, so I know I've got at least something my own gut feeling without. Yeah, that's a good way to go, BJ. It's a good way to go. I'm 50 years old and I'm here. Who the hell cares? Yeah, that's true. People don't know much about me, so I'm here to answer any questions. It could be DFS related. It could be about me. I don't really care. The best way to create a lineup is to do it like 10 to 15 minutes before lock. If you make a lineup earlier in the day, you overthink and change players you should have played. Yeah, that's true, Nick. I don't make my lineups, like I haven't made any lineups for tonight. I probably won't start making my lineups until after I get off the stream. Because normally on 2-game slates like this where there's not a ton of news, yeah, you can make lineups during the day, but on a big slate like tomorrow, I think there's like 10 or 11 games tomorrow. Like if you're making lineups during the day, like it just doesn't make any sense because news can come out and that can just completely screw up everything. I usually wait till like 1 or 2 hours before lock before I start making my lineups. Favorite 2 out of Bazley, Barton, and Bojan. Probably would go Bazley and Barton, TBL, but I'll have exposure to all 3 of those guys for sure. What guy would you go to at 3K? Shit, I don't know if there's anybody even that's playable at 3K. Capizanio was getting some minutes, but I think his minutes have started to go way down. Yeah, like he's only playing 11, 12 minutes a night. Oh man, I don't think there's really anyone at 3K that I think is viable. Yeah, it's tough. I don't really see anyone down here that I would even play. Zion over SGA for the savings. Coley, I think I'd probably rather get up to SGA if I can, but I like both those guys for sure. But I think I would rather prefer SGA, even though he's more expensive. What fantasy cruncher settings do you use for GP? I don't use fantasy cruncher. I hand build all my lineups, so I've used lineup builders before, but I personally prefer to hand build my lineups. And when I did use lineup builder, I just used RotoGrinder's lineup builder. At the time, it was free, but obviously it's not anymore. Would you play Bledsoe and Ball in the same lineup for a contrarian play? Yeah, that should be very contrarian, James. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Bledsoe Ball lineups tonight. So if you want to get different, that's a way you can go. It's not like those 2 guys really negatively correlate because they start alongside each other, but I don't think we've seen a ceiling game for Bledsoe and Ball at the same time like at all this year, just because the usage is kind of dominated by Ingram and Zion. But if you're trying to get contrarian, I think that's a way you can definitely go. I play single entries, 100% playing Jokic and running it back with SGA, but for all the other positions, there's a lot plays around the same price. Tough decisions, yeah. Tough decisions for sure. I think when it comes to the value, I think that's where it's tough tonight. Like between like Gary Harris, PJ Dozier, Kendrick Williams, JJ Redick, Paul Millsap, George Hill, which one of those guys is going to be the guy that you need? I think you're going to see one of those guys in the winning lineup, but good luck guessing which one it is. Nikhil Alexander Walker, I'm off him, BJ. Now that Lonzo's back, his minutes are they're going to be way down. Like he's not going to be a guy I want to go to when he's 5,400. Have you or do you use an optimizer? I don't, David. I hand build my lineups. Like I said earlier, I used to use RotoGrinder's optimizer when it was free, but right now I've just been hand building my lineups. I normally play 10 to 20 a night, and I hand build all of them. You like Green or Millsap better? I mean, I hate playing Paul Millsap, but I think I'd prefer him over JaMychal Green. At least Millsap's the starter. You know, he's probably going to get like at least low to mid-20s minutes. I mean, JaMychal Green's been playing good minutes as well, but I think I'd prefer Millsap. All right, I got to block this dude. Conley, Hill, Rozier, Roby, Jokic, SGA, Harris, Gobert. That looks pretty good to me. Conley, yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Hit that like button, y'all. This man has won us all money over the years. Y'all know it's true. I appreciate that, Ethan. Thank you for the $5 super chat, my man. Look, I'm just here to answer questions. I'm trying to help as best I can. It's crazy, these damn trolls, man. Holy fuck. God damn. Isn't Millsap out tonight? I don't think so, Tim. I haven't seen anything on Millsap being out. Unless that just came out, but yeah, he's playing. Paul Millsap is. The only guy that's questionable right now is Joe Ingles, and Lonzo is probable. He's expected to play. Thanks, bro. Can't wait for tomorrow's video. Hopefully I can also catch it live if I get off work in time. I appreciate that, David. I'll have the video up later tonight, and I'm not sure if I'll be live tomorrow. It's to be determined, but if I can, I will try and go live tomorrow. I know there's a big slate tomorrow, so I would like to go live if I'm able to. No, I recently started playing Yahoo. How and why did you decide to go to DK as well? I mean, I've been playing DK, since the beginning as well. Since I turned 18, I played on DK and Yahoo. But DK, in terms of content, obviously DK is more. People watch DK videos more, like DraftKings videos. DraftKings is obviously a way more popular site than Yahoo. Like if I were to just do Yahoo content only, like my channel it wouldn't do nearly as good. I mean, because let's just be honest, Yahoo isn't nearly as popular as DraftKings and FanDuel. Heard he was out for personal reasons. I didn't see that, Tim. I follow Fantasy Labs NBA, and they haven't said anything about it. So until I see something from them, I'm assuming he's playing. Yeah, Horford is out, Tim, but not Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap's playing. Horford is out though for personal reasons. Conley or Lonzo? I mean, Conley probably is the better play, but Lonzo for the ownership, because Lonzo is someone I like a lot for just low ownership, has upside. In tournaments, if you want to go for the lower owned guy, play Lonzo. If it's like a cash game, a single entry, maybe Conley's the better play there, Nathan. Did Kuzma get 34 last night? He did not, Will. He got 29. He got close, but he didn't get to he didn't get to where we needed him to get. Sup, man? Who do you think will be the lowest owned point guard? I mean, we've already said it. I think it's Lonzo. Out of guys that are actually going to play, I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker will be really low owned, but I don't want to play him. Lonzo's the guy that actually has upside. This is going to be low owned, I think. Great content as always, Noah. Shout out from West Africa. I appreciate that, Emmanuel. Watching from West Africa, that is crazy. I appreciate you tuning in. Off topic, but can we talk about how great Boucher is playing without starting? Yeah, Boucher is so good, man. I don't know why they don't start him. I saw they released Alex Len today, so maybe he'll finally get in the starting lineup. But knowing the Raptors and the way Nick Nurse has been going, he'll probably just keep starting Aaron Baines, I guess. Maybe they want. I saw someone say that they wanted him to win sixth man of the year, so that's why they're keeping him off the bench. I mean, if he keeps playing like he is off the bench, he's going to win sixth man of the year, no doubt. And honestly, he should probably win like most improved player. Like he's been so good. What do you think about my lineup? SGA, Harris, Beasley, Roby, Favors, Murray, Zion, Mitchell. I mean, outside of Derek Favors, who I'm not the biggest fan of, I think it looks pretty good, JM. But I'm not really on Favors, honestly. Just to clarify, no NAW with ball. Yeah, that's the way I'm approaching it, Justin. I'm not playing NAW now that Lonzo's back. Like, he'll go back to the bench. He'll probably play 18 to 20 minutes. Maybe he can get hot and they'll play him more. But at 5,400, you need a lot of things to go right for NAW to be a really good play at that price. I'm off him now that Lonzo's back. Thanks for helping me since I'm an old man. I'm glad I could help, Ronald. I'm glad I could help, my man. All right, guys, we've been live for about an hour. I normally, go live for about an hour every day. Obviously, like I said earlier, I don't usually go live around this time. Normally, I go live around 3:30, 4 Eastern time, but because of the late lock tonight, decided to go live a little bit later. But I appreciate all you tuning in. I know we had a bunch of trolls in the chat today, but I try to do my best to kind of block them out, to channel them out. All the guys, or all you in there, though, leaving positive comments, I really do appreciate it, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Best of luck tonight. Hope you guys win some money. Good luck, guys. I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll have a stream tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure yet, but if I do stream tomorrow, hopefully I'll see you in there. All right, guys. Good luck tonight. Peace.